everyone, Brandon and Kyle here. Today we're going to show you probably the most commonly recommended hip drill that we give to all of our athletes, and it's almost one of those drills that anyone can benefit from regardless of whatever issues they have going on with their hips or their body in terms of pain or other dysfunction. So this is going to be the hip airplane, and we're going to show you a few cues that are, I think, somewhat novel to this, and we're going to show you how you can mess this up tremendously and not get a ton of gain from it. But most importantly, we're going to be showing you how to do this correctly today. So we're going to have Kyle, we asked him to roll up one leg, and we also had Kyle do this barefoot or with socks on. It's not completely necessary, but if you really have a lot of intent with this drill, we can turn this into a fantastic foot and ankle stability drill at the same time as it is a hip stability drill. So the setup for this, we'll commonly see people have individuals hold on to a rack or other implement, but we really don't like that as a means of regression because people never tend to get out of that. If you start to go into your hip airplanes every session, you're probably going to go right for that rack and get into it. What we would rather see is you use your back foot for stability. So let's get into the setup here, Kyle, and don't bring your foot off the ground just yet. This drill is going to be fantastic. While Kyle holds that drill, we're going to talk through this a little bit, but when he's actually doing it, we're really working full femur articulation through that hip capsule, and we're going to try to touch every single corner of that hip, which is very, very useful when we're talking about hip health and stability. So the setup here is back foot is just barely touching the ground. Kyle's using his back foot as little as possible so that he can start the drill properly. From here, Kyle has to set a little bit of a brace. We're not talking about much, but he needs something to be able to anchor his position, because the first thing that has to happen in this drill is these 2 points have to move as a single unit. What we can never have in this drill is for Kyle to open up with his torso first or open up with his hips first and leave his torso. Those are both going to be major faults, and they're going to mitigate some of the positive benefit of the actual hip airplane. So from this position, once Kyle finds his stability, he's going to push his left leg into the ground as hard as he can. So this is not just a balancing act. Kyle should be forcibly pressing into the ground as hard as possible with that plant foot while he begins to articulate and rotate up. Go ahead and go through it, Kyle. Press hard. As Kyle's doing this drill, he is pressing through that leg as hard as possible, almost to separate himself from the floor as much as you can. Now this drill is phenomenal because we can get into the glutes as a hip rotator, but we can also get into this adductor as a stabilizer as he closes those hips down. What we're generally going to recommend is that athletes stack up maybe 3 to 6 very quality reps. What we would rather see you do if you struggle with stability, though, is to spend time in this position and only go through very small levels of movement. If you can only move up to this and hold position, Kyle, if you can only do this before you lose stability and start wobbling, that's all you're doing. You're going to hold this position and own that position, and then you're going to come off of it. Come and rest for a second, back down, get back into it, and try and go a little bit further every time. Again, guys, this is one of our favorite drills for hip stability and overall hip mobility, and there's probably not someone who won't benefit from it for one reason or another. Anything to add, Coach Kyle?
Just to recap, Brandon talked about a couple things. Not only is this a great hip drill, but I love it pre-deadlift, pre-squat, because we're being mindful and intent, waking up, activating our foot, and we're setting a little brace already. So we're really taking care of the foot, the core, and the hip in one great movement.
Brandon and Kyle out.